Why does cheap chocolate taste like candle wax while a premium bar melts like silk? The answer lies in 9 precise steps that separate grocery store candy from craft chocolate, and by the end, you'll never look at a chocolate bar the same way. Most people think chocolate making is simple, but the chemistry involved is more complex than wine production, and one wrong move at any stage ruins the entire batch. After fermentation, the beans hold 50% moisture and will mold within days if not dried immediately, so farmers spread them on raised platforms or concrete patios under tropical sun for 1 to 2 weeks, raking them hourly to ensure even drying. Sun drying is slower but preserves delicate aromatics, while industrial operations use rotary dryers that finish the job in 36 hours at controlled temperatures between 140 and 160 degrees. The target is 7% moisture, measured with a probe, because anything higher invites mold during shipping and anything lower makes beans too brittle to process. This is the last step that happens at origin before beans travel to chocolate makers. Roasting is where those 400 precursors finally become recognizable chocolate flavor through Maillard reactions, the same chemistry that browns steak and toasts bread. Small batch roasters treat cocoa like coffee, profiling each origin with precise time and temperature curves, typically 250 to 300 degrees for 20 to 40 minutes, depending on bean size and desired flavor. Lighter roasts preserve fruit and floral notes, but can taste acidic, while darker roasts build caramel and roasted nut flavors, but risk bitterness if pushed too far. Mass-market manufacturers use single high-temperature roasts that prioritize consistency over nuance, which is one reason craft chocolate tastes more complex. Mélanging grinds the nibs into liquid chocolate through hours of friction and heat, and this is where particle size drops from millimeter chunks to microns that your tongue cannot detect. Stone mills called mélangers use rotating granite wheels that crush nibs against a spinning base, generating enough heat to melt the cocoa butter and create a thick liquid called chocolate liquor despite containing 0 alcohol. Small makers run mélangers for 12 to 72 hours depending on desired smoothness, while industrial refiners use high-pressure rollers that achieve 20-micron particles in a single pass. Particle size below 30 microns feels smooth, but above that threshold chocolate tastes grainy and coats your mouth unpleasantly. Conching is the secret step that transforms bitter sludge into silky chocolate by continuing to stir and aerate the liquid chocolate for hours or even days at carefully controlled temperatures. This extended mixing does 3 things simultaneously. Volatile acids evaporate and carry away harsh astringent notes. Residual moisture escapes, which prevents bloom and extends shelf life. And cocoa butter coats every particle of cocoa solid, creating a fluid suspension. Cheap chocolate gets 2 to 4 hours of conching, which is just enough to make it pourable, while premium bars are conched for 24 to 96 hours to develop rounded flavor and that luxurious melt. The difference in mouthfeel is dramatic, and once you've tasted properly conched chocolate, you can instantly identify the grainy, tacky texture of underconched candy. Single-origin chocolate has exploded in popularity as makers source beans from individual farms or regions and roast them to highlight terroir, the same concept that drives specialty coffee and wine. Beans from Madagascar often taste bright and citrusy due to acidic soil and specific fermentation methods, while Venezuelan beans lean toward nutty and earthy flavors, and Ecuadorian national beans are prized for floral jasmine notes. Blending beans from multiple origins creates consistency, which is what mass-market brands prioritize, but single-origin bars showcase the dramatic flavor diversity that exists within cocoa when every step is executed with care. Bean-to-bar makers control every step from roasting through tempering in small batches, typically processing 50 to 500 kilograms per week, compared to industrial manufacturers who move tons per hour through continuous automated lines. This hands-on approach allows real-time adjustments to roast profiles, conching duration, and tempering curves based on how each specific batch of beans behaves, but it also means higher labor costs and less consistency batch to batch. The trade-off is chocolate with distinct personality and traceable supply chains, where makers often visit farms and pay premiums for quality, while industrial chocolate optimizes for identical flavor in every bar regardless of harvest variation. Inclusions like nuts, dried fruit, and sea salt are added after tempering but before molding, and they introduce new challenges because any moisture or oil can break the temper and create bloom. Nuts must be roasted and cooled completely, dried fruit needs to be low moisture, and even sea salt requires careful selection of crystal size and timing of addition to prevent dissolving. Some makers temper inclusions separately to match the chocolate's temperature, while others add them cold and accept slight temper disruption in exchange for texture contrast. The best inclusion chocolate maintains snap and gloss despite the additions, which requires experience and precise moisture control throughout the process. The price gap between craft and mass-market chocolate reflects real cost differences at every stage. Fermented beans cost 3 to 10 times more than commodity bulk cocoa. Small batch roasting and conching require skilled labor instead of automation, and pure cocoa butter costs double what vegetable fat substitutes do. A 70-gram Kraft bar retailing for $8 to $12 uses roughly 60 grams of chocolate containing 40 grams of cocoa solids and cocoa butter, while a mass-market bar at $2 might contain 30 grams of cocoa, with the rest being sugar, milk powder, and vegetable fat. The ingredient cost alone is 4 times higher before accounting for labor, and that difference is immediately apparent in flavor, texture, and melt. Everything is linked in the description below. Subscribe for more.